Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here. And at this point, we hopefully feel confident in talking about how force can affect motion, and more specifically about how force can affect the velocity of an object. And we've been doing this within our simulator, really investigate what makes an object's motion change. And now we're going to take it a step further. We're going to look at this big key concept here that's going to kind of pull everything together. So let's take a look. The key concept says how an object changes velocity depends on the direction of the force exerted on that object. So when we look at this key concept, the big idea here is obviously we're talking about how velocity changes depends on the direction of the force. So we're going to dive deeper into this idea of how an object's motion changes by looking at this big concept here of direction, okay? And more specifically, the direction of the force. And we're going to continue doing that by gathering some more evidence within our simulator and then recording that within Amplify. So let's take a look. Within the third activity in Amplify, we're on the third page here. We're going to be looking at this data table, and this should hopefully look very familiar. We've seen this before. We have our 5 ways in which an object's velocity change. It can start moving, it can speed up, it can slow down, it can stop moving, or it can move in an opposite direction. So when we think of these ideas, we got to think about our simulator. We got to think about all the ways in which we can move an object. And now we're going to be looking at this idea of direction. So let's look at the directions for this activity. We're going to use our simulator here to determine how to exert a force to cause an object's velocity to change in our 5 ways. And we are going to predict the direction of a force and the direction that the force must be exerted. So let's do an example together, thinking about direction, thinking about how the direction of a force can change the velocity of an object. So we have an object's velocity changes, so it starts moving. So imagine that I have an object, okay, and that object is not moving, all right? So let's call that object A, right? So object A, not moving, has a 0 velocity, all right? But I need to get it to start moving. So remember, we're thinking about the direction of the force. So right now, the direction that my object is moving is, well, nowhere. There is no velocity, there is no motion, there is no direction. But I have to get it, okay, to start moving. So the question then is, what direction must my force have? So I have an object with no motion. What direction must the force have in order to get it to start moving? So we have some options here, okay? For this very first column, we're going to make a prediction, okay? In order to make my object start moving, do I have to have a force that has the same direction of my object's motion? Do I have to have a force that has the opposite direction of my object's motion, or any direction? Your job is to decide which of these 3 should go in this box here. So again, think, I have to get my object to start moving. Do I have to have a force in the same direction of my object's motion, opposite direction of my object's motion, or any direction? Well, I know that my object doesn't have any motion. So it can't have a force in the same direction. It can't have a force in the opposite direction because, again, my object's not moving. If I wanted to create a force that caused my object to start moving, I need a force in any direction. So I would go into here and I would type that in. Any direction, okay? So thinking to myself, if I apply a force in this direction, would that cause my object to move? If I applied a force in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, is that true? If I apply a force in any direction, can I get it to start moving? Okay, and then I have to make my prediction there. Now, once you make your prediction, you're then going to go into your simulator and you're going to play around with it. And you're going to try applying that direction of your force. So I might click on my force here. I might pull up my Amplify page. With my simulator, I have my object. And the question is, again, where do I apply my force? So I'm going to prepare my force. Can I apply my force in this direction? And it will start moving. Can I apply my force in the opposite direction? And it will start moving. Can I apply it in that one? Can I apply it in the other way? okay, and so on and so forth. So forth. I'll hit play and see if what I put is true. All right. So if what I put is true, if I could put my force in any direction, then I was correct. Okay. Now, let's say I put something else. Maybe I put same direction. Okay. And I ended up being wrong. I realized, oh, you know what? I can actually put that in any direction. Then I'm going to go into the direction of force and I'm going to put the correct answer. So any direction. Okay. So you'll start by making your prediction. Okay. What direction of the force do I have to apply for my object to speed up? Okay. And I'm going to go back to my three options here. In order for my object to speed up, do I have to have a force in the same direction? Do I have to have a force in the opposite direction? Or can I have a force in any direction? I'll put my prediction. Okay. So go ahead and fill out your predictions. And then after your predictions, in the right-hand column, you're going to put whether or not those predictions were correct, or you'll put the correct, okay, option here. All right. So one more time, you're going to use these three options to predict what direction your force must be applied for it to speed up, what direction your force must be applied to slow it down, and so on. You'll play in your simulator, and then you'll make sure whether or not you got the right answer and record that in there. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Otherwise, good luck.